My name is Evelyn Carter, and I turned 67 the night my daughter-in-law stood in my dining room, lifted a crystal flute, and told a room of near strangers that I was too old to matter anymore. The banner above the fireplace still read, "Happy Birthday," Mom in bold gold letters. Confetti clung to my cardigan like freckles of celebration that no longer belonged to me. The caterer's staff drifted around us with trays of fig crostini and tiny lobster rolls. Sienna smiled as if she were offering me a kindness. The room laughed the way people laugh when they aren't sure which side they should be on. I set my glass down so gently the stem did not tremble. In the reflection of the patio door, I saw the outline of a woman who once knew where every pan and spice lived in this house, though it wasn't her house anymore. Behind me, the cake Sienna chose, a tower of buttercream roses, waited under sparklers she'd insisted on, the kind that spit light like tiny fireworks. I used to bake lemon pie for Mark's birthdays, and when he was small, he'd lick the whisk and giggle through a dusting of zest on his nose. Tonight, the whisk belonged to a stranger in a black apron. "Speech," someone called, and the word skittered across the marble like a dropped fork. Sienna rested a hand on my shoulder as if claiming the furniture. "To Evelyn," she said sweetly, turning her smile toward the crowd. "May she finally take the rest she's earned and leave the heavy lifting to the next generation." The room made a humming sound, uncertain, but warm enough to be complicit. Mark didn't look at me. He stared down at his phone, thumb hovering, the way he does when he wants to be anywhere else. Lily and Ben chased each other around a pillar, their laughter a separate country. I lifted my glass again and touched it to Sienna's flute. The tap was soft, a bell far away in winter. "Good to know," I said. "You won't have to bother with me much longer." It was not a threat. It was a decision. Something inside me unclasped, like the back of a heavy necklace set free from the soft skin of my neck. I smiled at the guests, thanked them for coming, blew out the sparklers when Sienna brought the cake, and made a wish I could not say out loud that the truth, whatever it cost, would have the courage to show up. I cut the first slice, handed it to Lily with a napkin she forgot immediately, and answered the door when another delivery arrived, because of course there was always one more box. When I signed my name on the tablet, I saw it typed beneath my finger in neat black letters. It looked real. It always did, until the moment you looked closer. After the last guest left, the house deflated like a balloon losing air. Glitter dulled under soft lamps. Empty glasses waited on every surface, catching bits of candlelight that made them look like small regrets. Sienna moved through the wreckage, still glowing, her voice bright with performance. "Such a success, right?" she said to no one in particular. Everyone loved the vibe. I gathered plates without answering. The cake she'd chosen, tall, spotless, impersonal, leaned against its own perfection on the counter. I wanted to wrap it up for the kids, but Sienna waved a manicured hand. "I'll handle it. Evelyn, you just relax." Relax. That word always sounded like a command when she said it. Mark came in carrying a trash bag, his sleeves rolled up. "You can head home, Mom," he said softly. "We've got this." It was supposed to be my birthday, yet I felt like an overstaying guest. "I'll just check on the kids," I said. In the den, Lily and Ben had fallen asleep on the couch, frosting on their cheeks, little crowns sliding off their heads. I pulled a blanket over them and kissed the tops of their warm foreheads. From the kitchen, I heard laughter, Sienna's voice again, but sharper now, echoing into her phone. "The sponsorship went through, babe. It's under her name, just like before, clean as a whistle." I froze. Her words hung there, strange and heavy, under her name. My name. I stepped back, heart thudding. But she was already moving toward the patio, still on the call. I waited until the sliding door closed behind her before I looked around. A stack of envelopes sat near the entry table, Mark's habit, collecting mail but never sorting it. One of them caught my eye. It had the bank's logo embossed in silver and my name printed across the window. I picked it up, curious, and slipped it into my purse. "Mom," Mark called from the kitchen. "You heading out?" I turned toward him, smile steady. "Yes, I'll take the leftover salad if that's all right." He nodded, grateful for normal words. "Of course, I'll pack it up." Outside, the night air felt thick and forgiving. My car still smelled faintly of lemon cleaner, a comfort I'd stopped noticing until now. I drove the short distance home through quiet streets, past houses that glowed softly with other people's celebrations. At home? I hung my coat, set my purse on the counter, and opened the envelope. Inside was a glossy invitation from my bank, a special evening for premier clients. The event was next week, hosted at a downtown address I didn't recognize. Beneath the printed text was a note. "Thank you for your continued trust with our business services account." Business services. I had no business. I reread the letter twice, then noticed something odd at the bottom corner. Carter and Blake Family Ventures. The Carter was me. The Blake, I didn't know. I called the bank right then. The recorded voice offered me options in cheerful tones, none of which fit what I needed. When a human finally answered, I explained, as calmly as possible, that I'd received a letter about an account I hadn't opened. The representative hesitated, then said my file showed multiple active accounts under my name. "Perhaps a joint account?" he suggested. "No," I said firmly. "Just me." He paused again, typing. "Ms. Carter, I think it's best if you visit the branch in person. Bring identification." Sleep didn't come easily that night. I lay awake, replaying the words I'd overheard. It's under her name. The pronouns twisted until I couldn't tell whose story I was in anymore. The next morning, I dressed like a woman who still trusted systems. Navy blazer, small gold earrings, comfortable shoes. I stopped at the corner bakery for a lemon tart, because rebellion can be quiet and sweet. At the bank, a young teller led me to a cubicle and printed something from her computer. Her eyes shifted as she read the screen. "One moment, Ms. Carter," she said, and left. A few minutes later, a woman in a navy suit entered. Melissa from the fraud department. She was kind, efficient, and didn't pretend everything was fine. She asked me questions, took copies of my ID, then printed a list of accounts with balances that made me dizzy. "Have you authorized anyone to act on your behalf?" she asked. "No one," I said. "Family members sometimes assist, spouses, children, in-laws." I met her eyes. "My daughter-in-law handles party invitations, not my finances." Melissa nodded, typed again, and slid a small form across the desk. "Here's your case number. We'll freeze questionable accounts and alert the Financial Crimes Unit. You'll likely hear from a detective within a few days. They may want to speak with you directly." Her professionalism steadied me more than any apology could. I thanked her, tucked the paper into my purse, and left. On the drive home, the wind rattled the windows like a reminder. I called Mark. "Honey," I said, keeping my tone light. There seemed to be some banking issues with my name attached. He sounded distracted. "Oh, Sienna mentioned something about that, some brand paperwork she used for her projects. It's nothing big." "Mom, it's big to me," I said. "The bank froze the accounts." He sighed. "She's just trying to help. You know how these influencer deals get—" "Do I?" I asked quietly. "Because I'd like to understand." There was silence on the line. Then, softer. "Mom, maybe don't make this a thing." I didn't answer. Instead, I looked at the sticky note with the case number Melissa had written and placed it on my refrigerator. My house was still, humming faintly with the sound of its own heart. I opened my laptop, the glow catching my reflection in the screen, and typed an email I never imagined writing. "Dear Sienna, I've been thinking about Lily's future. I'd like to set aside a significant amount for her education, $200,000. Can we meet to discuss how to set it up?" When I hit send, my pulse calmed. It wasn't fear anymore. It was direction, the kind you find when anger turns clear. Sienna replied in less than 10 minutes, her message bursting with emojis and enthusiasm. "That's wonderful, Mom. I know exactly how to set it up. Let's meet at my favorite cafe Thursday morning. My treat." Her eagerness didn't surprise me. She always moved fast when money was in the air. That afternoon, Detective Ruiz from the Financial Crimes Unit called. She had received the bank's report and wanted to speak in person. Her voice was calm, low, and patient, the kind people use when they know you're trying to stay composed. "We believe the accounts in your name connect to a small operation that's been laundering influencer funds," she said. "We'd like your help to confirm the link." I agreed. The next morning, I drove downtown to the precinct. Ruiz met me in a tidy office filled with file boxes and the smell of burnt coffee. She looked younger than I expected, but her eyes were old in the way police eyes get. She asked about Sienna, how she handled money, what I'd overheard. Then she explained a plan. "We'll monitor your meeting," she said. "You won't need to wear anything or signal. Just let her talk. If she describes account details or asks for signatures, we'll have what we need." "Will she go to jail?" I asked. Ruiz folded her hands. "If she's done what we think she has, yes. But this isn't about revenge. It's about stopping the pattern before she hurts someone else." I thought of Mark, how he never noticed details, how trust was his default setting. "I understand," I said. On Thursday, the rain finally broke. I arrived at the cafe early, choosing a corner table by the window. The room smelled of espresso and something sweet baking in the oven. I stirred my tea without tasting it. Every movement felt rehearsed, though I hadn't practiced a thing. When Sienna arrived, she was sunshine in human form, camel coat, loose hair, a perfume that pretended to be innocence. "Hi, Mom," she sang, sliding into the seat across from me. "You look amazing. Ready to make your granddaughter's dreams come true?" I smiled. "That's the plan." She pulled out her tablet and opened an app with elegant icons. "So, we'll create a holding account first," she said. "That way the funds can mature before we transfer them to Lily's trust. It's standard practice. I've done it for other clients." She said clients like she was running a firm instead of borrowing lives. "Who's the account under?" I asked. "Our umbrella company," she said, tapping the screen. "Carter and Blake Family Ventures. It's easier for taxes, plus the trust name sounds more professional." I leaned in. "Blake? My accountant," she said quickly, too quickly. "He handles logistics. And it's still my money?" I asked. "Of course. You're just letting us streamline the process. Banks love younger signatories. It moves things faster." Her tone was syrup, but I could taste the salt underneath. "Can I see where the money goes before I transfer it?" I asked. "I like to understand the flow." "Sure." She turned the tablet toward me. Blue arrows danced across the screen, connecting boxes labeled Holding Account, Trust, and Operating Balance. My name appeared in neat black letters beside each. The addresses didn't match mine. "It's all digital," she said brightly. "I'll email you a confirmation once it's processed." I nodded, pretending to consider. "Do you ever worry about juggling so many things?" I asked. "All the brand deals, the accounts, the travel. She laughed lightly. Worry is a luxury. Success means keeping the plate spinning. Mark doesn't get it, but you do. You raised him. You know he's not detail-oriented. It was almost kind, the way she dismissed him. Almost. I looked at her. Really looked. Beneath the glow of ambition was exhaustion she didn't want to name. Sienna, I said softly, when you told everyone I was too old to matter, did you mean it? Her mouth opened, then closed. Oh, that? She waved a hand. Just a joke. You know how people need something catchy for reels? Right, I said. A good line travels far. For a moment, the air between us went still. Outside, a police car passed slowly, its reflection sliding across the cafe window like a streak of light. She didn't notice. She was too busy refreshing the screen, waiting for the digital form to finish loading. I just need your signature here, she said, pointing. I glanced at the line. Let me think on it overnight, I said. I want to read it with fresh eyes. Her smile thinned. You don't trust me? I've learned to trust timing, I said, and mine says not yet. She hesitated, then shrugged. Fine, but the market moves fast. If we miss the window, the rates change. I'll take my chances, I said. We stood to leave. She hugged me, tight, fragrant, performative. You're doing something beautiful, she whispered, for the family. For the truth, I corrected under my breath. She didn't hear. When she was gone, Detective Ruiz appeared from the far corner, blending out of the background like a magician returning to form. She laid a folded paper on the table. We've got everything. Audio, visual, the transaction trail. You did well. I exhaled for the first time in what felt like hours. What happens now? We request a warrant for the accounts. Ruiz said, once the data matches, we'll move on her company. That night, I found Mark sitting on my porch steps, his shoulders slumped. Sienna said you're setting up a trust, he said. She's proud you're being proactive. I'm proud too, I said, but not for the same reason. He frowned. Mom, what's that supposed to mean? I looked at him, my son, who still believed goodness was protection enough. It means I'm making sure Lily grows up in a world where truth isn't optional. He stared down at his shoes. Is Sienna in trouble? Yes, I said softly, but she doesn't know it yet. When I went inside, the kitchen clock ticked like a heartbeat, finding its rhythm again. I placed the detective's card on the refrigerator beside my case number and whispered to no one. Let it be clean. Outside, rain began to fall at last, steady, relentless, honest. 2 mornings later, I woke to the sound of rain against the window and a call from Detective Ruiz. Her voice carried the steadiness of someone who'd already seen the end of this movie. Ms. Carter, she said, the warrants are signed. We're moving today. Stay by your phone. I dressed without thinking. Jeans, gray sweater, raincoat. My reflection in the mirror looked calm, though my pulse was a drum beneath the skin. I made coffee but didn't drink it. When the clock reached 9, my phone rang again. It's happening, Ruiz said. Officers are at her address now. We'll call once she's in custody. For a moment, the house felt too quiet. I turned on the kitchen radio just to hear a human voice. Between weather updates and soft jazz, I imagined the scene, the knock, the confusion. Sienna's quick smile turning to disbelief. I didn't want to gloat. I only wanted air that didn't smell like deceit. At 11, Ruiz called back. She's been detained, she said. We found multiple accounts under your name and others. Credit cards, crypto wallets, everything. She'll be charged with identity theft, fraud, and tax evasion. I gripped the edge of the counter. Is Mark there? He was home when we arrived. He's cooperating. Her tone softened. You did the right thing. Miss Carter. She's done this before. Different states, different families. When I hung up, I sat at the table and let the rain speak for a while. Relief didn't feel like triumph. It felt like gravity returning. Then my phone buzzed again. Mark. Mom, he said, voice shaking. What did you do? They took her in handcuffs. Lily saw. She's terrified. I'm sorry she had to see that, I said. But your children deserve the truth sooner rather than later. He exhaled a sound halfway between anger and grief. You could have talked to me. I did, I said quietly. You didn't want to listen. There was nothing more to say. We ended the call with silence standing between us like a locked door. By afternoon, reporters had gathered outside their house. Sienna's influencer empire crumbled in real time. Sponsorships withdrawn, posts deleted, followers scattering like birds. The evening news ran a short segment. Local content creator charged in financial fraud scheme. They showed her photo. Perfect lighting, perfect teeth, and my last name beneath the headline. I turned off the television. That night, Mark arrived unannounced. He looked 10 years older than he had that morning. The kids are with a friend, he said. I didn't know half of what she was doing. I poured him tea, and for a long while we didn't speak. The rain eased, leaving only the ticking of the clock and the sigh of the heater. She used your ID to open the accounts, he said finally. She kept the mail, told me it was all marketing stuff. I believed her. She was good at performance, I said. You always liked people who looked confident. He gave a short, broken laugh. Guess I should have inherited your instincts. Instincts come from scars, I said. I'd rather you didn't have mine. He rubbed his eyes. They're saying she could face 5 years, maybe more. She made choices, I said gently. Now she gets to live inside them. Mark nodded, staring at his hands. What happens next? You and the kids heal, I said. That's what comes next. He looked up, eyes rimmed red. Can we stay here tonight? I hesitated only long enough to realize I didn't need to. Of course, I said. There's always room. Lily and Ben arrived an hour later, sleepy and quiet. I made hot chocolate, the kind with too many marshmallows, and let them curl up on the couch under the same blanket I'd tucked around them after the party. When Lily finally looked at me and whispered, Grandma, is Mommy bad? I took her small hand. Mommy made mistakes, I said, but we're safe now. And that's what matters. She nodded, satisfied in the way children are when honesty sounds like love. After they went to bed, I stepped out onto the porch. The sky had cleared, a thin strip of moonlight running along the wet pavement. My phone buzzed once more, a message from Detective Ruiz. Charges filed. Rest easy tonight, I typed back. Thank you. Then I set the phone down and listened to the crickets returning to the yard. Brave enough to sing again, inside. The house smelled of cocoa and lemon oil. I locked the door, turned off the lights, and whispered into the quiet, Let this be the last time someone mistakes my kindness for permission. A month later, the case moved through court faster than I expected. Sienna's lawyer tried to paint her as overwhelmed, confused, a young woman trapped in her own success. But the evidence, emails, recordings, and transfers spoke louder than any apology. She pleaded guilty to identity theft and fraud, accepting a reduced sentence. Mark sat beside me during the hearing, pale and hollow. When the judge read the verdict, he didn't look at her. He reached for my hand instead, his grip trembling but sure. I'm sorry, he whispered. I squeezed back. We both trusted too easily, I said. Let's just do better next time. By summer, he sold the house and moved the kids into a small rental a few streets from mine. The first weekend they came over, Lily brought a handmade card that said, Thank you for saving us." She didn't know about warrants or fraud. She only knew that Grandma kept promises. I filled our days with ordinary things: gardening, baking, driving Lily to piano lessons. At night, when the house went quiet, I sometimes replayed that birthday toast in my head. It no longer hurt. It sounded like a closed door. On my 68th birthday, Mark and the kids planned a small dinner in my backyard. There was no catering, no camera crew, just lemon pie cooling on the counter and paper lanterns swaying in the breeze. When they sang, I laughed until tears blurred the candles. I cut the first slice and handed it to Lily. "Make a wish, Grandma," she said. "I already did," I told her, and it came true. As the night settled soft and golden around us, I felt peace settle in too, the kind that doesn't ask for forgiveness, only understanding. Boundaries, I thought, are just another word for love that's learned its lesson. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy these family drama and revenge stories, please subscribe and join me for more every day.